There are certain social traits that unite us all. One of that involves scrolling through the terms and conditions document or web page and doing something similar with policy papers to immediately tick the agreement box. Later, if the signatory lands in trouble, they cannot state not reading the conditions in their defense. When it comes to scholarly publishing, the Committee on Publication Ethics, the Directory of Open Access Journals, the World Association of Medical Editors, the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, and the Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association are the ones who have given recommendations, guidelines, and laws that need to be followed by every journal and publisher across these domains. Predatory publishers violate these laws that leads to the promotion of questionable science. For example, not having any editorial policy listed on the homepage is a sign of a questionable workflow. You are likely to encounter journals that write down one of these two template sentences on their website, but here is what you should know. The ICMJ no longer maintains a list of journals that follows its guidelines, as illegitimate journals mention the ICMJ haphazardly. As for OASPA, COPE, and WAME, if a journal is a member of one of these organizations, then it is safe to say that they have credible policies assessed by one of these bodies. To know all the basic policies that any journal must have, new researchers and publishers can refer DOAJ's Guide to Applying document. Make sure to vary off the wordplay. Being a member will always supersede than simply adhering or following the guidelines. So, how to catch them red-handed? Take this example where the journal claims to follow the COPE guidelines. According to COPE, a journal must openly state its article processing charges, which this particular journal fails to do. The ICMJ has dedicated guidelines on the peer review process. Though this journal claims to have a blind peer review, the received, revised, and accepted dates tell a different story. Or in this case, it is evident how the editors and authors have broken the formatting and retorted to the citation manipulation, research misconduct, despite adversaries raised by the COPE. Another violation of the law can be seen with special issues, about which we discussed in the last episode. Here are the guidelines given by the lawmakers. Now, there will be journals who will list down the duties of editors or special issues but won't follow it themselves. A simple search of the editor's name on the content page of the special issue will reveal the number of manuscripts where they are listed as authors, a glaring audacity of research misconduct. Here is another one. These are journals that claim to be open access, and these are the first and last pages of one of the manuscripts of each journal. Despite the recommendation of the Directory of Open Access Journals (DOAJ), they do not mention the dates of manuscript submission or acceptance in the manuscript or the website. Here is one more from Journals of Big Shot Publication House. They claim to follow the lawmakers. The guidelines clearly suggest that every research conducted on human participants must be published with its registration number and must be stated as well. Yet, these studies lacking credibility will be published with a below par ethical quotient and compromised peer review. Despite the recommendations stating which reporting standards must be followed for every research design, manuscripts that do not adhere to these also get published. Irrespective of whether you are a first-time author or a veteran, one policy you must always check is if the journal has any backup wherein they store their published manuscripts. There are a lot of digital databases where at times even authors can upload their published works. This is done to ensure that in sudden event of the journal's online presence being terminated, published manuscripts can be retrieved from these backup sources. Research misconducts come in all shapes and sizes, and failure to adhere to journals' policies puts the author's work at a risk of retraction, or at times the authors themselves might be compelled to withdraw their manuscript. How should a journal deal with an article's retraction? While the International Federation of Library Association and institutions do have guidelines on these, let us break down the mechanism by which retractions are handled. Firstly, the appeal to retract an article can be made through a letter to the editor, a journal's online forum, through emails, or through PubPeer. If the correction required is minor and reported by the authors, they can issue a separate document and link it to the published article. This is called a corrigendum. The same document, if published by an editor, is called an erratum. The term correction notice might also be used in such cases. If the correction required is major, then the manuscript stays online and the article is labeled retracted with the reason for rejection. In some cases, the authors are allowed to resubmit a revised manuscript that again goes through a peer review. If accepted, the revised manuscript is linked to the retracted article for readers to know the reason behind the article's replacement, and if no resolution can be reached, a retraction appeal for an article requiring major correction, the editors can publish an expression of concern and link it with the manuscript. It is important to know that every corrigendum, erratum, notice, or expression of concern will have a DOI, about which we shall discuss in a later episode. Withdrawal, on the other hand, is when authors decide to take down their submitted article, which might be with the editors or reviewers. But predatory journals levy a hefty withdrawal amount in addition to the article processing charges. The topic of article withdrawal has been discussed on online forums multiple times. Authors opt for a withdrawal mainly due to a late realization of submitting their manuscript to a faulty publication house. If this still does not convince you, pause the video and read these two real life tales of researchers going through a mental breakdown after unwantingly choosing a predatory journal. A journal might have listed down multiple policies but would have intentionally or unintentionally chosen to avoid mentioning the withdrawal policy. If there is a withdrawal policy, be cautious of their withdrawal rates, which are incredibly high, irrespective of the currency. Watch out for surprise fees and beware of retraction or withdrawal policies. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, like and share with your friends. Leave us a feedback in the comment section and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned.